You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Hi, everybody. This is Katie from Queen's Podcast. Today, we have a fun episode on where we've invited on our resident channel and psychic, Tandy, to do another history mystery with us. And in this one, we are going to discuss the life of Elizabeth Bathory. And so if you aren't familiar with this name, you might want to take a second to Google it just to make sure that's something that you're in the right headspace for. Content warning in this episode for, just a bunch of icky stuff. Maybe we should have chosen a more holly jolly one for this time of year, but that's not really our style. So anyway, I hope you enjoy. And as always, we do use a salty language in this episode, so listener discretion advised. Cheers, bitches. Hi, this is Katie.
And this is Nathan.
And you're listening to Queen's Podcast, the show about badass women in history. Hey, Queens, hey.
Hey, I'm super excited about this episode coming up.
Yes.
Y'all should be too.
Yes. And unless you press play without reading the title, you know that we have a returning guest today. Nathan, will you introduce our guest?
Yes, we have the lovely and wonderful Tandy with us again. So, yes, I think y'all might remember her whenever we did a channeling on Elizabeth Woodville.
Yes.
Had so much fun with that, so we had to invite her back to do another round.
For anyone that didn't catch our Elizabeth Woodville episode and is hearing your name for the first time, why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, and what you're here to do today?
What do I do? It's more of a what don't I do. My moniker for the last about 5 years is as your wellness witch and your magical mentor. I've had a career for the last 25 in fitness and wellness, but because I'm witchy as fuck, I just decided to be honest and transparent with the outside world and blend the two bits. So I am a channel, I'm an intuitive tarot reader, I am a psychic, as well as a good old school coach, mentor, teacher, and mother of all kinds of creative endeavors. So I have an online studio, unicornwellnessstudio.com. We've had a membership there for 10 years, and it is this beautiful community for those who are spiritually minded, witchy woo-woo curious, and want to grow into their magic, but it's all based in self-revolution. So I love being here with you all. We had such a good time last time, and today I'm completely going in blind.
Yes.
I need everybody to know that. I have no idea what we're reading for today, and I'm delighted by this.
Yeah, so last time we had you on to do The Princes in the Tower.
Yes.
Tandy did a reading, and Elizabeth Woodville came through. Shit got real. Shit got emotional.
Yeah, it got real.
Today, we have another Elizabeth that we're going to discuss.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Tandy, and also maybe I should give a preface that this one is a bit dark. Okay? Okay. Do you know the name Elizabeth Bathory? Okay.
No.
Nice.
Oh.
Nathan, why don't you get us started?
Okay, so basically what you need to know about her is that she goes down in history as like the ultimate bad guy. So we really are trying to ask you, does she really deserve this claim to fame?
Yes. So some backstory. Elizabeth Bathory was born August 7th, 1560 in modern-day Hungary.
Big Leo energy.
Big Leo energy.
Her family was one of the most powerful families in Eastern Europe, so she's really well connected, very, very rich. She's got that money, honey.
Yes, very, very rich. I think in the time, her first cousin was King of Poland, rich. She got married when she was 15, which was normal for the time and for the nobility. And the story goes that she and her husband loved each other very, very much. But they were into, not to kink shame anybody, but they were into some sadistic shit in the bedroom. And they may or may not have forced members of their staff to participate. Yeah.
So her husband died, and Elizabeth is just left like this wealthy woman, like the most wealthy woman in Hungary, maybe in all of Europe at the time.
Right. And so she opens a school for girls in her house, like a finishing school. It's very prestigious. And the story goes that soon after she starts torturing and murdering her students as well as the girls on her staff. And rumors start spreading, and it becomes that she bathes in the blood of virgins. And that's why she's doing this, to keep herself young so she can bathe in their blood, which you can't do. Like, you can't fill a bathtub up with blood. The blood will coagulate. That's not a thing you can do. But anyway, that's the story.
It's not a thing.
Not a thing. But she basically is like one of the inspirations to Dracula. Was one of the things. So she bathed in the blood. She drank the blood of virgins.
Young
all
and beautiful,
of that stuff.
blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. So eventually, the king of Hungary, a guy named Matthias, was also. So eventually, the king of Hungary, a guy named Matthias, who was also the Holy Roman Emperor, which is just a state of mind.
Not real. That's an inside joke on the show. Sorry.
So he opened up an investigation on her, and she was found guilty of killing as many as 600 girls, put under house arrest where she died.
Yes, if you Google most prolific serial killer, I think Elizabeth Bathory is in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most kills of a serial killer, or at least female serial killer. Yeah, so TLDR. So that's the TLDR.
Very rarely am I totally silent. I'm like, I don't even... Okay. All right, then.
So that is the TLDR on Elizabeth Bathory. Obviously, we're leaving out some things because I want to see what you pull, what you pick up on. But there are a lot of people that believe this ridiculous number is more from politics. Like maybe people had motive to do a smear campaign on her. So we want to kind of figure out, is she really this horrible person? Was it a political smear campaign, or is it somewhere in between?
But that number 600, that's a big old number.
That's a big old number.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's a lot.
I mean, the first thing my brain goes is, how? Like, are there that... Okay, I'm sorry, I have questions, and I know we're going to read, but, like, how many students does she have?
I mean, it's over the course of a few years or whatever, and also, remember, she's one of the wealthiest women in Europe, so she has lots of houses, so she has lots of staff. Also.
Okay.
And also,
you know,
I also think that number is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a lot. And then, okay. So to clarify, we want to ask if this moniker, right, if the conviction is real, right, if she is the ultimate bad guy, or if it was a smear campaign.
If it was like politically motivated, which I didn't want to give you too much details on what that means.
Yeah. Okay. And I literally know nothing about this. Like, I'm a fan of you all, but when I listen in, I'm listening and learning. I hadn't, until this moment, never heard her name. Yeah. You all saw my face. I was like, what?
Yeah, the whole time she was like, what is this madness?
Okay, all right. I mean, we're going to straight up ask, is this real? Is she the ultimate bad guy? Or was it a political smear campaign? So that's where we're starting. I like to go straight for it. Let's take the big swing and see what unravels. Fascinating. So the card that I just pulled, this is the strength card. This is Leo's card.
And she wasn't Leo.
Yeah, right? I'm like, y'all, I can't make this stuff up, and I don't really know how this is going to unravel. So we pull the card, I touch the card, we start to see what starts to roll through here. So let's start with the tradition, and let's start with the basics of the Leo card. In this deck, it's a lion's head under the sun, holding a rose in its mouth with the infinity symbol on its forehead. So if you're just listening to the podcast and not in connection with the video, this is what we've got. And I'm sure we'll post this in all the places and spaces so you can see it. Okay, hang in there, y'all.
She's rolling up her
seatbelts.
Like,
I don't know where we're going. I got, like, literally, it was like hot. I was like, okay. So the strength card traditionally is a lion and typically a goddess, like a female entity. And it is often depicted with the female entity with her hand in the lion's mouth. Okay. Or in ones that progress, it's the goddess that's petting the lion almost like it's her pet, okay? So I love to really dumb shit down to like nutshell essence of things, that the strength card really offers us the capacity to tame our inner monsters. And if you can lean into your divine feminine nature and find balance, not to keep your monsters at bay, but to tame them, to not let them lead you, then you have strength in this lifetime. This card says actually we're stronger if we can acknowledge our inner monsters, our inner demons, and bring forth, because here's where the Leo energy comes in, that the Leo energy gets a bad rap. I'm a Leo rising. That it's all egotistical, that everything's me, 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 me. It's always a show. It's always a selfie. It's always out front. It's always performing. Whereas the spiritual benevolence of Leo is that it's actually the biggest heart of the zodiac. So there's this like crazy juxtaposition already rolling through that's not bringing clarity just yet, okay? It's trying to figure out this balance. Clearly there were some inner demons there. In this one moment, I'm not hearing that it was a complete smear campaign. There is some truth to what was going on because she had some inner demons and inner monsters. And yet when I pull this card and with me in community, this is a card of Lilith. But Lilith gets very demonized. Literally, she gets cast out of heaven. We're going to do the ridiculous nutshell for stating equity. Like, this doesn't work for me and I'd like to do something different. And Adam and God are like, no, out. But if you're willing to lay under Adam, then you can stay. And she's like, well, that doesn't fucking work for me. And it's uncomfortable and I don't like it. And I didn't say I didn't want to have sex. I just didn't want it in that position. Well, there's a really strong line of Lilith here. Yeah. She is the goddess of blood and sex magic.
Which is something that I think Elizabeth Bathory was at least the blood and sex part.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so this is so loud.
Right.
She is like blood and sex magic is real and it's something that people work with. It still to this time gets demonized. She was already ahead of her time as she really was bathing in blood. I mean, she's witchy as fuck. There is definitely blood magic happening here and there's definitely sex magic happening. It does feel like there were some shady, dark shit going on. It's definitely a yes to making people who worked for them participate. That's a very, very clear yes. And that's sketchy as fuck already.
Making them, like, not that they, oh, do you want to participate? But like, hey, you're gonna participate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oof.
So that's definitely a yes. So what I hear right now in this one card in this moment as an open channel is it is giving me like a scrim to her that it's not that there's a block, because I know when there's a door closed and a block, this is what's making it like, she was not the nicest and there was some shady shit. She's also not the demon to the extent that has been portrayed. Yeah. Okay. It's showing not like bathtubs full of blood. Cause like you said, you're like, that shit doesn't work. That's not how it works. Yeah. But it's not how that works. But there was definitely blood, sex, magic things going on. It's got a very vampiric, like she wasn't afraid of the dark stuff. Things that people think are naughty got her off.
I think this is so interesting in comparison to our reading about the Princes in the Towers, just how it's going so far. Like, it sounded like Elizabeth Woodville was coming to you before we even did the reading. And this one, not a closed door, but she's not necessarily speaking loud and clear, correct?
Correct. And this morning, because I'm always aware before, like I've said the last time, before I do a channeled session that I know is meant to be a channeled session, things tend to come through beforehand, but I have no idea what it's about. Today was very quiet.
Yeah.
Like, really quiet.
And then both you and I had internet issues.
Yeah, like connectivity issues, right? Like messaging and communication not
Which made me nervous,
because
I was like, maybe she doesn't want us talking about her. Because Nathan and I have one episode that's no longer up because the audio was so bad. And I was like, maybe she didn't want us talking about her.
I'm going to let you in on the information right now. She wants to be talked about. She wants to be seen and heard. And the not, right. No, it's very, I mean, the Leo card is like the first thing that comes out. And she's like, no, you're going to talk about me. It's kind of like any press is good press. You know, she's definitely of that ilk.
She's like, people are still talking about me. Like, there's metal bands.
Literally, I was just getting ready to say, she's not, it's funny because it's showing this gray scrim as if you're talking to somebody who's in jail. You know, like between the glass kind of thing, that she's not like happy and excited, but like, this legacy has stood this test of time. So she's not mad about that.
She's infamous. She's still famous.
She's definitely
infamous.
She's definitely still famous.
Yeah. Okay, we are going to pull another card. But I will say that the messaging right now is, yeah, she was a bad guy.
Okay.
I don't think it's to the extent... And I am hearing that number is massively inflated.
Okay.
It just is. Yes, they invited people into their bed. This is before, her husband passed. They forced people there. But it was also like power and money and pleasure and sex. You work for me. There's also a narrative here that wants to be heard that's not everybody's going to like this. I know it is like, well, they were being paid and compensated, and they really thought that was fair also in some ways. That... It's shady as fuck by any standards of humanity, but you do have to take things in time and context and their awareness, the levels of power and money, the expectations, and perhaps an undereducated, like they just didn't think those
She
ways.
was super educated, but she may have been thinking, yeah, maybe you didn't like that sexual experience, but are you sleeping in a palace or are you sleeping in a shack?
Literally. Yeah. No, this is, again, it's skewed, and it doesn't say that I, as a channel, I'm not saying this is okay. I don't know her history, but like you said, like super rich, super well connected. If you're birthed in that, there is so much privilege, right? And audacity, and like, no, everybody does what I say. That's the way it goes, right? So it's not okay, but that's definitely a yes that did happen. Because they're showing me like literally that language of playing with fire, that they're looking for things that like titillate and, excite. It starts small. And then they're also showing that, like, somebody got smothered with a pillow kind of thing, or it was by accident, or like, and it just kind of spirals. But okay, so she really is kind of a bad guy. That she starts to get off on that. Like this control power of there's a life and now there's not energetics.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay,
Ooh.
So the first card was a doozy.
Okay.
Nathan, do you have any thoughts on the life of Elizabeth Bathory in this?
Yeah, I think that what we've heard so far kind of tracks with what we thought. We've always kind of been on the fence, but I've always been in the camp of like, yeah, some of it had to have happened. There's something there that people were able to gossip about that actually happened that held her accountable. But 600 people... Let's be real. That's a little bit of an overinflation.
Okay, I'm going to shuffle. Y'all can't see. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to pull another card.
It's interesting, all of this. I wonder, though, one thing that you can know now, her father was a sadistic man. And there's a story that when she was a child, she watched her father, and big old content warning if you're squeamish, this wasn't the episode for you to press play on anyway. Her father, the story goes, she watched her father take like a homeless man that was like guilty of stealing a loaf of bread or something and had him sewed into a horse while still alive, like a dead horse. And that's how they... This is the kind of life...
These medieval torturers, where did they come up with this? I'm going to sew you into a horse.
And
I mean...
So who knows if that's true, but that's the kind of reputation her dad had.
Well, as you're talking, all I hear is yes. Like, yes.
She's like, yeah, like, that dude was fucked up.
Yeah, like, she watched a lot of things. There's also here's what I hear. She was forced to watch a lot of things. So then it becomes normative, and then it becomes a matter of that generational trauma that you pass down. Someone hurt me, so I'm going to hurt somebody else. This is definitely the case with her. Of even, like, watching... terrible things.
Okay. Because there's a rumor that she had a child before she got married, and she got married at 14. So I didn't know if that's where you were going with, like, maybe she was assaulted by her father.
Well, I think that's also the case too. Honestly, this, yeah.
Dark shit.
That's
Okay, dark shit in her life.
Like from her father. I mean, this is not. Yeah. So that's what I hear. And so it's just from the very start, she didn't have much of a chance at things. You know what I mean? It's just that spiral. I'm going to pull the next card. I'm just asking that it be a clarifying card.
Okay.
So we're going to see where this goes.
Not often, but sometimes comments on our content are like, when bad things happen to women in history, some people will be like, well, I don't care because they were nobility or they were royalty, and royalty is... And I'm like, okay, I feel like this kind of shit, it doesn't have to do with royalty or not. Money can't buy you a normal life. Like, it can't buy if this kind of shit's happening to you as a kid.
Often the more resources you have, the more fucked up it can get, because you really are more distanced from things. People are less likely to call things out or try to protect you because you're connected to their income or their resources, or it just goes really sideways. And I'm not demonizing resources or money or income or wealth, but I do think it's particularly in a capitalist culture where we don't, protect society and we glorify resources, that shit gets real weird real fast, I think. And so, again, not to excuse any of it, but I think I would seek compassion and empathy for the situation as well.
Yeah, I think there's a quote by a poet named Notorious B.I.G. More money, more problems.
It's true. It's true, y'all. Like, well, it's true, because when you talk about, like, people think money solves things, and it's like you just have more shit to manage, literally.
And then you don't know if people are saying things to take advantage of you, if they want something from you. So there's a trust thing there. And so, yeah.
And there's a little bit of this, like, I don't know her life, but with wealth in these times, like, they weren't super traveling a lot. They're kind of insular. There's no TV, there's no phones. Not that I'm glorifying those either, but it's like, what the fuck are you going to do with yourself? Like, it's you and these walls and people.
No, we've talked about this on this podcast before. We had our good friends on from a show called Ancient History Fangirl, and we talked about they didn't have Pornhub. What else was there to do?
I'm being serious. Like, and you get into, like, blood and sex magic, and one thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden it's like,
there's no Pornhub.
Okay.
So you're just going to try out what's in your brain.
It's a little tricky. Okay. So I just love the cards. Can I just say how much I love the cards? So I just asked for a clarifying card.
For the audience, what does a clarifying card mean?
Meaning, we got information. We asked the question. We said, is this, she the real bad guy, or is this a political smear campaign? We have all of this narrative now. And so I'm just asking, can we get some clarification on this? Like, can we just clarify a little bit? It's nebulous. It's not very pointed. I know that. But this seems to be a big story. She's not being let in fully, which means she's not benevolent. She's also not massively malevolent, because there's a presence. Like, I can feel her here, but there's a pause.
There's a barrier between y'all.
Yeah, like, literally, I always lay an energetic salt circle that says you can't come in. She's standing at the circle. So, like, she can stand and she can, like, nod and be here, but she's not welcomed in. So the clarification card that I pulled is the moon. So in this deck, it's really beautiful. It's a dark sky, it's a crescent moon, and it's these trees, okay? We've pulled 2 major arcana cards in a row. That's a big deal. That's big, big, big energy. Okay. This is karmic energy.
On this show, we call that big clit energy.
Yes! I'm into it.
So she's got some big clit energy, which I don't think anybody ever thought she didn't.
Do I get to say another C word?
Yeah.
She's a little more cunty than that.
Oh, yes.
So, it's not me, y'all. It's the channel.
I didn't say cunt. The card said cunty. Not me. I would never.
I'm hiding behind the cards, y'all, okay? For sure. It's happening today. Please don't let my children listen to this episode. No, they can totally listen. So, the moon card, historically, is the card of shadows. This is the shit you don't want people to know. You don't want people to see. This is the depth. If you dredge the pond, what the fuck's gonna come up? And do you know that the metaphor I always use is, are you gonna get somebody's old boot or a dead body. So she is the ultimate bad guy, y'all. I'm going to say yes.
Dang,
okay. And 600 is conflated. People, there was truth here. There is truth here. That number is incorrect from what I'm receiving. What I see is not small. It's about half that. I still don't understand that, like as a 300.
I'll have to revisit in how many years that was.
They're showing me a pile of dead bodies. Like it's just what it is. And so I do have compassion for her because this is like this confluence of like probably some mental health issues within their lineage, the things that she watched. It seems pretty clear to me that she was raped by her father, that child I think was her father's.
So you think that did happen, not just a rumor?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. And even as you were telling the story, that's why I don't like to start talking before I start pulling cards, because I could start hearing things that I felt like that was the case when you were talking to me from the very beginning, that there was just some dark shit from the very, very start. She doesn't know anything different than navigating in this way. She's trying to find power and control. She's trying to find pleasure. And this mix of like adrenaline, dopamine hits, excitement, control becomes out of control.
And, okay, so the first card was she the ultimate bad guy? And it was just like a fire and fury and blood and sex magic card. And so on the next card, the clarifying card is like, is that what you meant? And it's saying, yeah, I'm dark, like basically.
Yeah.
I don't want to put like a negative connotation to shadow work because it's a very beautiful thing. But this almost feels like this is her version of shadow work, where she's doing these things to other people to try to navigate what was going on in her own mental health issues in her own way. And that was how she did it. It's what was done to her, essentially.
Absolutely. So I appreciate that because, you know, I'm all about shadow work. It's usually just about, like, the things that you don't want people to see or know. Like, this was some dark, deep shit. This was some majorly, like, subconscious stuff. I want to also add, this is fucked up. It points me back to this. She's pointing me back to the strength card. She's like, it wasn't all fucked up. I really did enjoy some of it. And I was like, okay, all right. The like blood and sex magic, like the sensuality component of it, and this language and narrative and visual of vampires, of she's seeking like she got it, right? Like infamy, like eternal life.
Yeah, she's been dead for like 500 years. And her name is she's still in the Guinness Book of World Records, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you, she's not mad about that.
She's not mad at it at all.
This is so interesting because I keep waiting for like a moment to tell you about like what the political aspect of it was, what like people point to, but it doesn't seem like she wants to talk about what people point to be like, no, this was a smear campaign and the proof of that. It doesn't seem like she wants to talk about that at all. She wants to talk about the dead bodies.
I mean, let's pull another card because again, she's standing at the circle. She's not allowed in. Leo wants to be seen. Mm-hmm. I get to shine today. There was an open channel for me. I was invited. Yeah. And the witchiness of my heart and like the component of Lilith is still really loud here, of like, fuck, the demonization and just like the hard sell of, again, we can talk about like sex workers, right? That is so demonized that then it becomes off because people don't honor it or don't protect it or make it safe and make it okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that there's a component of that here too, of being a highly sexual, sensual person. BDSM is like, can be really constructive for people. It's about trust and it's about safety and, you know, heading to that edge without going somewhere.
So long as everybody involved wants to be involved.
Correct. But it's almost... Y'all, there's just some shady stuff coming out of my mouth today. But it's almost like...
We asked you to channel the most prolific serial killer, so...
Y'all, thank you for that. I mean...
You're like, cool!
It's almost like was a pioneer of BDSM. Like, only it just all went too far. Like, in this really terrible way.
If only she had had Pornhub to know when to stop.
Yeah, that would have solved so many issues.
No, I'm laughing so hard. It's not even making any sound right now. I can't. It's so true, though. God,
she could have just let her freak flag fly in another way.
Yeah.
She could have.
That's all I'm saying. Like, in another lifetime is actually what I hear.
She could have been a dominatrix and
yes,
made a bunch of
literally,
money.
and just like a shit ton of cash.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Love this.
Okay. What's the question about the smear campaign?
The question that I've always wondered is, was she really the bad guy? Or is the king that we mentioned, he owed her and her husband, like when her husband was still alive, he borrowed $1 bajillion from them, let's say. After she got found guilty and went under house arrest, he didn't have to pay that back.
Oh. Okay.
How convenient.
Right. So that's her defenders always point to, no, the king just didn't want to pay her back. And since she was a widow and she didn't have a man to protect her, it was easy just to lock her up and not have to pay her back.
Oh, well, lock her up.
Well, I mean, there has been a yes and. I mean, there are a lot of dead bodies. That's fact.
Okay.
That's, fact from your intuitive psychic channel. I'm making fun of myself here, y'all.
For entertainment purposes only.
What do you consider fact? So she's not innocent. Let's put it that way. Okay. So, what are we asking?
If she felt like if the king hadn't owed her a lot of money, would she have still gotten locked up? Would we even be talking about this?
Oh, well, I'm going to pull a card.
Okay. Because maybe the king was like, I don't care if a rich person's killing all these poors, but if he's like, oh, but she owes me money.
Okay, if she wasn't owed money, would she have...
By the Holy Roman Emperor, who's like one of the most powerful dudes in Europe.
Oh my god, y'all, I love what I do. It's so weird.
It's great.
It's so weird. Oh my god. Okay. It's the Four of Pentacles.
And the pentacles are the monies.
Yes. So the Four of Pentacles means that money's the foundation of everything in this. Four is a number of foundational pieces. It also has a connection to Hecate, because those who listen who are, in my community and followers, they're going to be like, but you didn't say Hecate. Okay. So that is so much clarity with that question is, no, she would not have been taken to court. She would not have been convicted. Nobody would have given a shit if he didn't owe her money. End of story.
That tracks, because we talked about the serfdom, and I do think that this was at play here, that people treated the serfs like garbage. Like, you could treat them however you wanted, essentially like an enslaved person. You could beat them, you could do all these horrible things, and it was property and nobody cared. So it makes sense that it's like, yeah, she did these things, but it wouldn't have been made a big deal if there wasn't money at play at the foundation, like you said.
Yeah. So this card, in a layman's terms, right, like day-to-day reading, is usually about having all of your resources in harmony with each other, right? The Pentacles card, the Coins card, is traditionally finances. It's more than that. It's our resources. Time, money, energy, body, mind, and soul. Okay? Yeah. It's very loud that in order to keep the foundation of his life...
Power.
Yeah, he needed her to go away. In order to keep things humming and rolling. And so, in order to keep the foundations going, turning. And, what luck. She was also female. So, a good old witch hunt and demonizing her easy. Unfortunately, she was not a fully benevolent character, and it was too easy.
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing. It's like taking candy from a baby kind of thing. It was just too easy. So let's just conflate the number. Just make her the biggest demon we can come across, and then it's easy pickings.
Interesting, because I feel like the first card with, like, were you actually this bad guy was, like, so convoluted with so many ways that you could take it. But then this one would be like, was it because of the money? She's like, oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. Oh, money. Like, yeah. 100%. Yeah. She's like, yeah, let me give you a money card. Yeah, absolutely.
Like the foundation money card.
Yeah.
There's so much clarity in that one, and it is fascinating, right? The foundation of this whole issue is the money. It's so easy pickings. Then you move into the shadows. He gets wind that, oh, she got some shit going on here. People are not going to like that, especially from a woman. Yeah. Right? And if we get her to go away, plus she's got an ego. She's told some people. Like, people know, and it's almost showing, okay, it is showing, like, when she's taken to trial, she's, like, very regal about it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing empathetic about that. Like, she knows she's going to her death. It's not like it's really a fair trial. So she's like, I might as well be fabulous and be, like, the ultimate villain.
She leaned into her villain era.
Totally. She was like, this is my moment. Last one I'm going to get. Everybody look at me.
I have one more question, if we can do another card around her house arrest. Yeah. So, Nathan, when you and I did the episode, all I ever read was that the most popular story goes is after she was convicted, she was, like, walled up into one room, like, with one, like, brick out so that they could give her food, and that was it. But more contemporary research said that, no, it was just, like, a regular house arrest. Like, she couldn't go anywhere, but she wasn't, like, like, in our episode, we were like, so I guess she just shit in a bucket? So,
Didn't they anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda did anyway.
Was her house arrest as intense as the traditional story, or was it just kind of like you could stay in the house, you just can't leave the house, like a normal house arrest?
Okay. So was house arrest as intense as the story goes? Okay. Oh, man.
That's never a good thing whenever you're having your tarot cards read and the tarot card reader goes, oh, man.
Ominous. Like, that was super scary.
Yeah, man, it wasn't good. It's feeling like the one room sort of scenario.
So for people that can't see it, what card was that?
8 of Cups, okay? In this deck, it is 8 broken glasses against a black mountain. It's not good. It's so in a typical reading, when I read for this card, I love this card. It can be very empowering. It says, shit's fucking broken. You can't fix it. There's no fixing it. Like, broken wine glasses, you're not going to glue those back together, right? And so some people just leave all the shards on the floor, but now you can't use your kitchen. So there's nothing to do but to sweep it up, fucking trash it, and start over kind of thing, right? So it's a card typically of walking away from what no longer emotionally works for you. So it can be a very empowering card of like, why the fuck do you keep going back to this relationship, this job, this partnership, this thing? It does not serve you. It doesn't feed you. Just walk away. You can just leave. You can do something else. That's the typical of this card, because 8 is the number of empowerment. But in this instance, in this question that we're asking, all you can see is the broken fucking glass and the black mountain, right? So this is like, yeah, there's everything's fucking broken and gone. It's desolate. This is not a normal house arrest where you can have a cozy, like, oh, I'm going to go have tea and then I'm going to move to this other room and I could read the books that are in my life. Absolutely not. This is stone cold, really dark, really not okay. Really, like, everything's fucking broken. Mental breaks is what I'm feeling here, of like just silence or insanity, meaning both. Yeah. So, yeah, this wasn't a cozy, comfy house arrest scenario.
Yeah. As we've learned, solitary confinement is not great for people's mental health. So I can imagine shit being broken whenever you're locked in a room for years.
Okay. Damn. I feel like Tyra Banks with Elizabeth Bathory right now, because we were rooting for you. We were all rooting
for you. How dare you?
But it sounds like she doesn't deserve it.
Well, I don't know about that. It's really, there is a funny little, because I keep touching, like, I've got a massive headache. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not going to lie. No. Meaning, like, sometimes when I channel, the energy is so big, or it's just, like, not, it's just, like, a lot of energy. So I'm just communicating that because there's an intensity here that is not typical, okay? And again, it's almost like she's trying to push through this boundary, but like, the walls are really solid and clear. She can't come in. And so it's feeling like tension, like trying to keep her out. Okay. But my hand keeps being drawn to my heart. Like when we're talking about her, because there is this little heartache of like, I have a strange love for her. That's going to sound weird, but like, I know it sounds weird, but I think it's like the way I'm feeling it move through is that it started as a way to channel some things, right? Like to try to work around things, to try to, like she doesn't have a therapist. She doesn't have anybody who cares. She's got this dad. She doesn't have Pornhub, right? Like she does not have these resources. She is a human with a really shitty experience. Okay. And so there is this like, oh, fuck. I think sometimes being human is just really fucking hard, where it just goes so wrong in all the ways. Yes, she is responsible for the things that she did. That is fucked up. And yet, how did this start, right? Like, where did it begin? And she's got zero support, zero functionality. And it's like, this is just where it goes. So part of me wants to root for her because that's what it's feeling like too. Like she just wanted to be seen. And it's almost like a kid who's acting out. Like, I'm going to do the grossest, biggest things to see if anybody fucking cares. Did they? Nope. Put her in a room for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Damn. Well, this was really interesting.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one.
I'm sorry that we brought this into. Sorry that we gave you a headache.
No. That's part of the job. That's part of the deal here.
Nathan, do you have any last questions or comments? Anything?
No, I think that was just. I was looking forward to this one, but this one's one of those that you're like, ooh.
I know. Me and Nathan had a conversation about a week ago of like, is this too dark? So I'm glad you were open to it.
There's something energetically fascinating. Mm-hmm. There's an energy here to her that feels very human. I'm not going to say sorry. Like, she's just, it's complicated. It's fucked up. She earned the moniker. Okay. She did earn it.
She's called the Blood Countess.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She likes it. I'm going to tell you that right now. She does. I also think there's an element here too of what I hear of like men got these really like cool, oh my God, my brain is starting to shut down now energetically. Meaning like they got these really neat, like people, loved them, put them on pedestals when they were overly violent.
You kill 1 billion guys in battle, the king gives you an award.
I mean, it's really messed up because she used the resources she had, like to make a name for herself, to be present, to be heard. It's super fucked up. And yet she's like, look, I'm not totally sorry. You're still talking about me. Like,
so
as long as my name is in your mouth, it's fine.
Yeah.
No such thing as bad publicity. That was so interesting, Tandy. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
You're so
any
welcome.
final thoughts?
Nothing to do with it.
Well, you were the channel.
I am the channel.
And now you have a headache. Sorry.
No, I just love being brought into these. I mean, we've done 2. I got to tell you, there's some of the most fun that I have. It is literally the wild ride. Like, I don't know what's
our
gonna come
community
out.
loves it. We already have 2 other mysteries that people have been asking for nonstop to be read on. So in the upcoming months, but until then, Tandy, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at unicornwellnessstudio.com. All of my offerings are there. We've got a little special for December and January for the membership in the studio. If anybody's curious or interested, anybody who becomes a member in December or January is going to get my healing protocols for free. It's a $150 bonus. And it's so, if you've got any sort of injury issue, chronic thing, whether it's diagnosed or you're like, it's just a thing that's been with me forever in your physical vessel and body, these are so magical, so healing. They create upswing where earnestly nothing else has. So my background, my teacher was a physical therapist. The background was Pilates, and it sews in Reiki healing and the energetics around these pieces as well. And as always, come find me on Instagram. It's Tandy_Gutierrez.
Yes.
I would personally like to give a little testimonial because I am part of the magical mentoring currently. And I have found it to be such a healing and beautiful thing. It's a big community of people. We all kind of talk about what's going on, but have especially loved the healings and everything that she's talking about from a personal standpoint. It works. And it is a brilliant program. The mat work is just to die for. Everything is just amazing. So personal shout out to Tandy because it has been a wonderful ride doing the magical mentoring. So
well, now I'm having FOMO. Y'all are hanging out without me?
Yep.
Well, the good news is you can come into the studio any day, anytime. That makes my heart so happy. It really is, like, you have to try it to see if it's going to be a fit, but it is fully inclusive one-stop shop, like for your spiritual hygiene, for your personal magic, and for your self-care. And it's going to be 11 years old in February, and there's still nothing else, earnestly, like it out there. So thank you.
And the links to all of that will be in our show notes. Put it for this one, because I love Tandy. So this was awesome. Thank you so much. We are definitely going to have you back on in 2024. How does that sound?
Excellent. I can't wait. I love you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Cheers, bitches.
Cheers.